What's up, guys, and welcome back to Three Guys, One Field. This is the first edition episode of a spinoff from the Two Guys, One Court podcast that you know. If by the end of this podcast that you really enjoy it to the point where you want more episodes, just tell us, because I know we have a ton of listeners and you guys comment all the time. But today we have a special guest, our first-time guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
No.
That doesn't work.
Why would you say that?
All right, but he is Daniel Clapsaddle, our NFL specialist. This is an NFL-based podcast.
His nickname is Clap Danny.
Clap
Danny.
That's the girl's
Because
name.
Daniel Clapsaddle.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand it, just DM us on Instagram.
His father is called Clap Daddy.
Yes, but before we get into this podcast, I just want to say thank you to our sponsor at product.co, and make sure to follow us on all social media at 2 Guys 1 Court. But this is a special episode. As we know, we're in a dead period in the basketball season, and the NFL has been ramping up. We're currently heading into week 2 tomorrow, but we're going to do a week 1 recap with our special guest, Daniel Clapsaddle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a football pro.
Yes, and we are not. I know football. Braylon does not.
I know Tyreek Hill. That's it.
Let's start with the Thursday night matchup with the best two teams in football currently. I don't know, could be true, but Ravens and Chiefs. What are your thoughts on this game? And we'll just go game by game.
I think the Ravens have one of the best coaches in the league right now, being John Harbaugh, and they played this game really well. They held the Chiefs to a one-score possession almost the whole game, and almost the fourth quarter comeback if it wasn't for Isaiah Likely's shoe size being one size too big and his toe being stepped out of
Just like Kevin Durant in 2021 when his foot was on the three-point line. But this is a football podcast. But I watched this game, and the announcers kept saying that it looked like Lamar Jackson really wanted it there, and I think that just demonstrates the Chiefs' effect and how detrimental they are to an NFL player's mental health.
I think Lamar Jackson really popped off that game.
You do not know what you're talking about.
I do know, because he played really good that game.
He did
play pretty good that game. He relied on the run heavily.
He looked more like 2018 Lamar MVP.
Lamar,
season.
do you think he could win the MVP this season?
No.
What about the
who's your prediction to win this season for the MVP?
Patrick Mahomes?
I don't think it's going to be Patrick. I think it's going to be
Christian McCaffrey? Tyreek Hill?
I can't really tell.
Stop saying things.
What about
It's too early to tell.
Too early to tell.
It's too early to tell.
Alright, moving on, we have the Panthers and Saints game, which was kind of a blowout.
Actually, this was the Friday night game.
Actually, we're going to go to the Friday night game. The first NFL game played in South America,
Brazil.
in Brazil. They're both
That is in Brazil.
together.
Only Saquon
Packers
Barkley.
and Eagles. Thoughts on this game?
Luckily, no one got shot in Brazil.
Luckily, yeah.
Luckily, nobody got concussed either.
Luckily, yeah.
I didn't watch much of this game, but I do know
Saquon Barkley played insane.
Saquon Barkley did play insane. Did play against him in fantasy, I'm pretty sure.
And Jordan Love got injured.
He did on the last play of the game.
But it's more of like an MCL thing, I think.
Yeah, that is very heartbreaking if you are a Packers fan, because you do not want to see your QB go off the field, be out for 4 weeks when there was 4 seconds.
And it's also really bad if you have him on your fantasy team.
Yeah, but I don't think you're winning if you got him on your fantasy team.
No, you were not winning. There was a large theme, I know, with the fantasy this week was the quarterbacks were not having a great time.
Yeah.
Right? They averaged maybe around 140, 150 passing yards per game. They didn't put up a lot of points on fantasy. Luckily, I had Josh Allen who put up 30, but that was I learned he did, but I learned that he is more inconsistent than consistent because he put up 9 points for me.
Yep.
This week. But moving on, we have the Panthers and Saints.
All right. So Panthers, really nothing new. Looks like same as last year. Bryce Young throwing an interception on his first pass of the season, and it wasn't even close. Severely overshot, and that really set a tone for the rest of the game and possibly the rest of the season if they don't do something to change it. I mean, they have. I don't know what kind of coaching they have, but clearly hasn't worked in the past 3 years.
# bring back Cam Newton.
I was just about to say that.
But I was surprised about how great Derek Carr was with the Saints, because I know it's against the Panthers, but I think he did have a really good game.
Derek Carr is a sleeper. for a backup QB that came in last minute.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Very surprising performance for the good, though.
Mm-hmm.
To move on, we have the Patriots playing against the Bengals, the biggest upset of this week. You guys may know by now, we have the Patriots who won that game 16-10, which I did not expect. They have a terrible team. They have new coaches. Jacoby Brissett, their new quarterback. I'm just disappointed in the Bengals. They're at home. I thought that they were a more developed team than this. I thought they could at least beat the Patriots.
Joe Burrow, this is not your Super Bowl moment.
All right. You have any thoughts on that, Daniel?
Also, what happened to Mac Jones?
He got traded to the Jags.
Oh, did he really? I forgot about that.
I thought Mac Jones was good.
No, everyone was calling him good until he got replaced by Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
All right, and then Steelers Falcons. Solely field goal.
This was a field goal heavy game.
Steelers was 6 field goals, no touchdowns.
Really? Did the Falcons have a touchdown?
I think so. Oh, they had the wide open touchdown pass to Kyle Pitts.
Did Young Hoo Koo score any field goals this
He
year?
scored 1.
Scored one, but the Steelers did prevail with a win. Any more thoughts on this game?
T.J. Watt. If there's anyone to get like a defensive player of the year, definitely T.J. Watt. I don't think he's ever underperformed in a year before. I don't know how many years he's been in. Probably like 5 or 6, 7. But he's just unbelievable. The way he just gets off the offensive lines with swim moves and confuses the offensive lineup. It's amazing.
All right, and then to move on, we have a rather close game, rather unexpectedly close game. The Texans beating the Colts 29-27. Obviously, I didn't see too much, but I did see the crazy 60-yard throw touchdown that Anthony Richardson had at the beginning of the game and the careless interception that C.J. Stroud had. But the Texans did prevail in a win. And do you have any kind of takeaways on this game?
Texans, unsuspectingly good run game. It was pretty decent. I think.
Who's
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
The pickup of, I think the Texans had one of the best off seasons.
Mm-hmm. They did have
trading. They got Stephon Diggs. They got Joe Mixon to run the rock, and surprisingly, C.J. Stroud was still good. He threw for 220. Still threw a lot, but getting it done on the ground, and that's what really makes a great football team, is having the run game and the pass game, so you're not too run or pass, so it's not predictable.
And then we have the Bills playing at home against the Cardinals. I'd just like to say, as a Marvin Harrison Jr. starter on fantasy, I am extremely disappointed in you, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but
I am extremely disappointed in you.
On the contrary.
Words cannot explain how extremely disappointed I am in you.
On the contrary, as a person who has James Cook starting on their fantasy team,
that was next
great
week.
Job.
That was this week.
Whatever. James
and as somebody
Cook,
who's playing
good.
against you in fantasy, I'm not happy about that.
I'm very happy about that. James Cook, you are amazing.
You know, I bet on the Bills. I thought it was an easy 100-0 win for the Bills to beat.
But they turned it around at halftime now.
Yeah, and that's where that kickoff rule is going to come into play a lot, because Cardinals, many of you probably don't know, they scored the first kickoff touchdown with the new rules, and it's going to be a lot easier to score kickoff return touchdowns now. And I think the Cardinals was a great example, because the Bills were starting to climb back, and once they scored that off the kickoff, it really made it an even closer game than it was before.
Yeah, but I do think that this game and the next game that we're going to talk about are two games that the losers were up at halftime, and then there was a comeback. And then to go off of that, we have the Bears at home playing against the Titans.
I thought the Bears would honestly do better.
Their defense was great.
The defense was great. They made up for the offensive mistakes, but it can't excuse the Caleb Williams' performance. Everyone was saying he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and then he came out and he played like trash.
Yeah, he had no touchdowns.
No touchdowns.
Yeah. It was a heavily defensive game. The score changed, or the shift of the game changed in the third and fourth quarters. But a very disappointing performance. I know he had the Bears painted on his nails, but apparently that didn't help him this time, as they did win, but I'm concerned. If I'm the GM, That boring, right? If I'm the GM of the Bears, I'm concerned. I'm really concerned. But to move on, we have a very controversial game in the morning. Not really in the afternoon, but we have the Dolphins and Jaguars.
80-yard touchdown from Tyreek Hill.
Yes. But Tyreek Hill had a very, very big day. I'm sure you know.
Yep.
He
got arrested.
No. He got detained for...
Same thing.
No.
Same thing, you little
No.
boy. You're a lawyer.
He got detained after being pulled over for speeding on his way, probably maybe a couple minutes away from Hard Rock Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But that got resolved.
The cop that detained him actually got suspended.
He was resisting a little bit. I think it was.
It was
a little justified. They were roughing him up a little bit then.
Yeah.
And controversial touchdown
Our
celebration for that too.
police chief really had his money on the Dolphins that game because
I'm sure
he's
he did.
suspending someone
I'm sure
for
he
arresting
did.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. And again, this was another game where the Dolphins were losing significantly at halftime, but then turned around and had a pretty good game for themselves.
Too bad Tua's hurt now.
He is hurt. He had he just had that big hit against DeMar Hamlin, hit him, I believe.
Yeah, he got his
irony
revenge.
there. Sure, if you want to say that, but we're going to move on to the Broncos and Seahawks. Any thoughts on this? I don't know too much from this game.
I also don't know much about this game, but the only thing I do know is that, again, another rookie that we saw going into the preseason with high hopes did not perform well, Bo Nix. He was just not at this game.
Yeah. I thought he was maybe on the better side of the rookie quarterbacks that played today, but he didn't get the job done. And, these are two terrible teams, but the Seahawks prevailed over the Broncos. To move on, we have your favorite team, the Chargers, beat the Raiders in a close game, 22-18. Any thoughts on this game?
I have a lot to say about this game.
Oof.
First of all, the Raiders, they have a really good team. I feel like they made the wrong choice with the backup quarterback, or the starting quarterback.
Mustache, long hair, I forget his name.
Cooper Kupp.
Nope.
It's not Cooper
Something.
Kupp. Gardner
Minshew,
Minshew, they started to play against the Chargers. I thought that Aiden O'Connell would be the right choice to start, but that's a coaching decision. They played really well first half. Chargers scored 9 points going into the second half. It was 10-9, and the defense was just locking up Herbert. They were playing great pass coverage.
What?
Herbert, Justin Herbert.
Oh.
You think that?
All right. We'll continue with that.
They were locking up Herbert. They were locking up the run game for most of the first half, and the Chargers had nothing going. But this year, the Chargers, since they got Jim Harbaugh, is going to be much different. Now, I don't know, there's a verb for what the Chargers used to do years and years ago called chargering, and it's when you blew a game because they're so used to that. But now we're finally scored a touchdown in the last quarter, and the Raiders were making a push to score, and everyone thought they were just going to charger it again, but Jim Harbaugh showed that the Chargers are a different team this year, and they actually stopped the Raiders' push and eventually won the game, which I'm very happy about.
That's some great analysis there on that game.
Oh,
but to move on, we have the
Dallas.
America's game.
Dallas
Who
Cowboys.
do you think
the
you are?
Cleveland Browns.
We have the Dallas Cowboys
coming in with a victory against the Browns.
Okay.
Anything else to say on that?
I like you, CD Lamb.
As a Browns fan, I'd like to talk about this game.
You're a Browns fan?
Yeah.
I am a Browns fan.
Oh, really?
I cannot be more
I thought you liked the
disappointed in
Eagles.
this team. I cannot be more disappointed in this team. As a defensive owner and as a DJ Njoku owner, I'm disappointed. That's all that I'd like to say.
That's all.
I like to see this score flipped, one time. Do you have any thoughts on this game that are productive for the podcast?
Okay. Cowboys were like fraud boys because we're in the same stage we do every single year. The Cowboys always start off with a big win. Everyone thinks they're going to do well. They get the wild card. They choke.
This is our year.
And this is our year.
No, it's not. It's not. It never was.
It's never the Cowboys' year.
No.
Ever.
America's team.
And then
not
on
for
top
long.
of that, you decide to pay Dak the most money any quarterback's ever got ever. So
How long has Dak been on the Cowboys?
many years.
Many years, yeah. Now to move on to a more boring-ish game, we have the Buccaneers beating the Commanders.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this game?
I didn't really pay attention to this game. All I know, Baker Mayfield most touchdowns of the week with 4.
I like him as a quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. Very underrated.
I think he is one of the best backup QBs. I think.
Oof. Really?
Yes, I do think that. I have never been a big Baker Mayfield fan. I feel like he was sort of like Jameis Winston to stay on that Buccaneers trend where he can throw 30 touchdowns, but also throw 30 interceptions
Yeah, that's fair.
on a bad day. And lucky enough, they were facing this Commanders team with the new offense, new offense coordinator with Jane Daniels.
How do you think he did?
Jane Daniels? I liked him.
I thought he didn't do that terrible.
I think him and Bo Nix sort of played the same level. Like, wasn't that good, but Jane Daniels played a little bit better because we saw more promise in the run game for him than Bo Nix and all the other rookie QBs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like to see what he can do.
All right, to move on, we have the Lions beating the Rams in Sunday Night Football, I believe. Any thoughts on this game?
I'm on the Lions come up right now. I've been a Lions fan. I'm a bandwagon now for them.
Me too.
I think the coaching decisions last year in the NFC Championship were not great, but they managed to slow down this pass-heavy Rams defense to like an extent. Like Cooper Kupp still had a big game. I know he scored like 32 points in fantasy.
I didn't like that.
That's besides the point. Like the Lions have a great rushing game. They have one of the best running back duos in the league. And Amon-Ra, what happened? He scored like 5 points.
Yeah, he did not play well.
You were my first round pick in fantasy. So
we're disappointed, but you still got the win. And then to move on, we have Monday Night Football. The 49ers getting it done against the Jets with Aaron Rodgers' return. A lot of controversy with the Brandon Ayuk contract finalized hours before the game started. Any thoughts on this game?
Jets fans were so happy after the first 4 plays because their QB didn't go down and get hurt for the rest of the year.
And Christian McCaffrey's out of the game as well.
And Christian McCaffrey's out for the next 4 weeks now.
Yeah,
not good for those fantasy owners.
Yeah.
John Mayer.
Yeah, John Mayer. Yeah, John Mayer.
Dak's dynasty. Good luck.
You cooked that way.
I
I still lost to you even without Christian McCaffrey. Though.
Anyways, Brock Purdy had a pretty solid game, Anna Fry's taking him to the Super Bowl again.
All right.
Well, let's let Daniel talk about this.
Brock Purdy, in my opinion, the most overrated player in the NFL
a system QB
right now. He is a system QB. He happened to go to one of the best overall teams in the league, where you have Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs at your behind you at all times. You have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, who just got a contract, one of the best tight ends in George Kittle, and with a top 5 defense to back you up even if you make a mistake. I mean, Brock Purdy is he's like throwing on a pillow. Like he can just fall down and land on this nice bed sheet with a nice blanket and have his mommy tuck him in.
What a great metaphor.
Thank you.
And I think that just sums up the whole week 1 of this NFL.
Wait, there's more. The Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce contract, I think that got leaked. It's like
there was this was probably 99% fake, but there was some PR papers released. Not really, on social media, which you also shouldn't really trust that.
Which Travis Kelce have 4 years left on his contract?
with Taylor Swift.
No, it's the paper says they're gonna break up September 28th or something like that.
Oh,
but I would likely bet against this. But to wrap up, we have the whole analysis of week 1. If you want us to make more videos like these that are a spin-off of 2 Guys, 1 Court, 3 Guys, 1 Field, thank you for listening.